Good evening, students. Today we are having our day 12, video 7 for class 12. Today we will discuss I will introduce you about the pre-fertilization structures and events of second chapter. We are discussing here our second chapter, that is sexual reproduction in angiosperms. In this, we are going to study pre-fertilization structures and events. Fine. So various kinds of hormonal changes in plants. In plants, various types of hormones are released. For example, auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, fruit ripening kilase, that ethylene and abscisic acid. All these hormones are released at particular time interval to promote certain changes in the plant body. So those hormonal changes and the structural changes of a plant helps in the differentiation and development of floral primordium. Floral primordium is the floral axis where flower will arise. So inflorescence. What is inflorescence? It is the arrangement of flowers over the floral axis. These inflorescences initially they bear floral buds and then they will give rise to the formation of flower. Flower is the reproductive shoot of any sexually reproducing plant. And most of the plants which are undergoing sexual reproduction, they belongs to angiosperms. Angiosperms are the only plants which are also known as flowering plants, which produce flower. Other lower plants like gymnosperm, pteridophytes, they are also showing sexual reproduction, but flower formation is not observed in them. Fine. So let's study about flower. Flower is the reproductive shoot. Reproductive shoot which contains mainly two types of parts. One is the accessory parts and others are the reproductive parts. Accessory parts that help the plant or help the flower in protection and pollination. If the protection is the main purpose, then for the protection purpose, when flowers are there bud condition, then green colored sepals surround the bud of the flower and help in protection. Next is the pollination. Second important function which is performed by accessory part is the pollination. Pollination कैसे? Pollination के लिए attract करते हैं. Accessory parts में two main parts of flower are there. One is the sepal and the other is petal. Sepal and petal. Sepal is the green part of the flower and petals are the colored part of the flower. Which colored part of flower, they will attract the insect for pollination. Pollination is a very important event in plant body which helps in the transfer of male gamete into the female gamete. Or we can say they can transfer male gametes from anther to the stigma of the same flower or to the different flower with the help of insects or any other abiotic agent. So here we are having accessory parts. There are two accessory parts of flower which do not help in reproduction but help in protection and pollination, and these are sepal and petals. Next we are having reproductive parts. Reproductive parts which will help in reproduction. Male part and another one is the female part. The male part is known as androecium and the female part is known as gynoecium. These are the symbols used to represent the male and the female parts. So androecium, the group of, or we can say whorl of stamen is known as androecium and the whorl of pistil or carpel, it is known as gynoecium. As they are following the sexual reproduction, then they will produce two types of gametes, one by the male and the other from the female. And here the male gametes will be called as microspores which are released by anther, and gynoecium will contain megaspore, a single megaspore which is present inside the ovary. Let us discuss this diagram of a bisexual flower. Bisexual flower is such flower which contains the male and female sexual organs in a single flower. So here it is. First of all, the part of flower to which it is attached to the plant axis or plant stem se jo attach karta hai, that is pedicel. We can call it as flower stalk also. When we move above it, a swollen structure is there which we call thalamus or flower receptacle. Over that, ovary of the flower is placed. This ovary is the swollen part, and ovary when we move upward, there is a slender part of the flower called as style, and at the tip we are having very sticky or receptive stigma. The stigma style ovary, and ovary bears certain ovules. Inside the ovules, megaspore is formed. So these three structures combinedly called as pistil or carpel. This pistil or carpel is actually what? That is female reproductive organ. In case of male reproductive organ, we are having stamen. Stamen is composed of two parts. The upper, the bilobed region is known as anther, and the stalk-like structure to which it is attached to the female body, it is known as filament. This filament and anther, they both combine to form stamen, the male reproductive organ, which will produce microspores. And the microspores are produced by anthers. Okay? So, this is all about the introduction of pre-fertilization structures. Or in case of what events, we will study about gamete formation and gamete transfer. In case of gamete formation, here the microspore formation is known as microsporogenesis and the megaspore formation is known as megasporogenesis. After the formation of both the microspores and megaspores, how these microspores are getting transferred to megaspore to undergo fertilization, that is pollination. So in this feature, in this particular video, we have studied about only the parts of flower which we have already studied, but few of the students might confuse in these structures. That's why I have explained it today. So in our next video, we will start with androecium. In case of androecium, what we are having, it's a whorl of stamen. Stamen is also known as microsporophyll. These microsporophylls helps in the formation of microspores through a process called microsporogenesis. How after the formation of microspores, how they mature, after maturation, how they are shed, and after shedding, how they can be transferred from the male reproductive part to the female reproductive part. This is all we have to study in this case. In which case, only in case of microspore, या we can say microsporophyll. ये पर्टिकुलर पार्ट में इवेंट में आपको बहुत सारी चीजें पढ़नी है. माइक्रोस्पोरोजेनेसिस आप पढ़ेंगे, मेगास्पोरोजेनेसिस आप पढ़ेंगे, कैसे मैच्योर होते हैं, कौन कौन सी कंडीशन इसको हेल्प करती है, एंड देन इनके बेसिस पे न्यूमेरिकल्स भी आते हैं एग्जाम में. इनके न्यूमेरिकल्स भी हम साथ के साथ डिस्कस करेंगे. इवन दिस सच काइंड ऑफ न्यूमेरिकल्स कम इन बोर्ड एग्जाम्स एज वेल एज इन नीट. तो हम सारे तरह के क्वेश्चंस यहाँ पर सॉल्व करेंगे. इस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट में आई थिंक बच्चों को कोई इश्यूज होते नहीं है जनरली. So the main videos of this chapter we will start from our next video. Okay, thank you students.